Last night. I hope you're going to miss me like I'm going to miss you.
Oh, yes.
Somebody said, oh, yes, loud. That means you're going to let me come back again?
Oh, yes.
You really will?
Yes.
All the way to Canada?
Oh, yes.
Right. Well, you know, last week, they handed me the key to the church. Who was there when that happened last week? Handed me the key to the church, and I tried to take that key and unlock some doors. I don't know how many doors we unlocked this week, but I hope God unlocks your door. Amen. I can't leave this evening and just take the key home, can I? Because it's not my key. If you look in my coat pocket, I got my set of keys right there. Could you bring that out for me? Appreciate it. Go ahead and put this key on my key ring. Last week, the pastor gave me the key to the church. He told me to take it from here, but come time that I have to give it back to you, Pastor. So I'm going to invite you up at this time. I got to take it off my key ring. You know what that means, right? I'm going to start losing my keys again. Because without this big key, I'm going to lose my little keys. Pastor, I really appreciate last week you giving me the keys to the church, and I appreciate it. I'm going to give the keys back to you at this time. Thank you. Now, Pastor, you know I gave the keys back now. That means I can't preach till you let me preach, because it's yours again. I ask you, can I just preach one more sermon?
Well, I'll let you preach one more sermon.
Thank you.
Remember when I gave you the key, I told you to pluck up, destroy, root up. But I also told you to, according to Jeremiah 1:10, to plant and to sow.
Yes.
I think you've done that. Amen?
Yes. Praise God.
And may the Lord bless you. And as you have one more chance tonight to speak to the congregation, we'll be praying for you.
Thank God.
And I promise we'll make sure that this key continue to do a good job in this church.
Amen. Amen. Y'all make sure he don't lose that key for the next time I get here now, all right? I think God has been good this week. What do you say? Yes. He sure has been good to me. Tonight, before we begin again, we want to make sure that he's here, as we have done every night. So let us bow our heads at this time and talk to Jesus. Father, again we come. Again we ask you to come. Be with the words that the preacher speaks. Let his words not be his words, but your words.
Amen.
In other words, Lord, use him. Be with those who come anticipating a lesson. Allow them to leave and not disappoint. We pray this in your powerful, precious name. Amen. Amen. I want to talk to you today about champions. For the night about champions. There are some people who are champions, and then there are those who are losers. I was always amazed at champions. Years ago, I used to watch Mike Tyson walk down that long aisle to the ring, and all over his face was champion. He would only wear a towel around his body, and he would walk like he knew when he got in the ring, he was going to leave a champion. I looked at Michael Jordan, a champion, just looked like he going to do all right. Michael Jordan gets out there, and no matter how big the competition is, he knows that he will dunk the ball in somebody's face because he's a champion. So I thought about this champion thing, and I wanted to learn about champions. So I wanted to find something in the Bible that dealt with champions. And now, if you are a champion, you possess certain characteristics. But if you are a loser, you don't have all these characteristics. Paul talks about championship as a race. He says we're all in this long race, and we can win this fantastic prize if we have these qualifications. Years ago, I used to be a boxer. I used to box. I was good. I've never lost a fight. Somebody think they can handle me now? Come on. You probably knock me out now. I used to be a boxer, and I was good. I was fast, I could move, and I could talk. You know, sometimes you get a guy who's better than you, you can talk him out of his fight. And I used to talk and call him all kind of names. I said, man, you can't fight. Why are you even in here with me, huh? Why? He's swinging, I'm moving, and knock him out. Put my hand up, I was champ. But you can't just be champ talking, you know. To be a championship boxer, I didn't fight the big boys. I knew better than to go in there and fight Muhammad Ali and all them fellas who were just a little bit faster than me. I was the champion amongst the people I was around. And I was good. And I learned a whole lot of things about being a champion. The first thing I learned was that to be a champion, you can't be afraid of what someone looks like. I go into the ring one day and I saw this massive, muscled man, taller than me. I looked at his eyes had fire, and the words destroy was on his face. And I went out there anyway, deciding that I don't care how big he looks, I don't care how bad he looks, I was gonna win, because in my mind, I was a champ. I went out there, they rung the bell, I'm moving, trying to look good, weaving, moving, found out that he was so muscular that he couldn't swing. You know, a guy get too big, you can't swing, you know. Get so big you can't even get into your pockets, can you? So I was able to move and dodge him and weave, and every time I wanted to, I could hit him, because I was a little smaller. Y'all say, how could that man ever have been small, huh? I was a little smaller, and I was quicker, and I won. I was a champion. A lot of us today, we have not learned how to go ahead and do what's right, even when their faces scare us. Yes. There are people in our circle who seem to have more power than us. At least they talk a good game. They act like they're better. They act like they know more. They act like that when they say something, the whole world must stop and listen. And sometimes they can talk to us and intimidate us. But if you're a champion, you will ignore what they say and never let anybody tell you that you are less than anybody else. I tell the whole world that nobody is better than me. I believe that nobody can be better than me. All you can be is as good as me, but not better than me. Because I am a champion. I believe that I can sing, and if no one likes how I sing, I don't care. I like how I sing. If you don't want to hear me sing, then close your ears, because I'm going to sing anyway. I compare myself with myself, because I'm a champion. Lionel Harris get next to me and sing, I'll let him sing. And it's going to be good. He's going to reach those high notes. He's going to move and sound good. Everybody's going to faint because he's so good. Then they say, it's my turn. I'm going to get up like I'm just as good. And I'm going to sing proud. It might not sound like Lionel Harris, but it's going to sound a whole lot like Cooper. Because I'm not Lionel Harris, I'm Cooper. And when you're a champion, you are the best that you can be. You have to look at yourself and decide that I am my own competition. If I can run a mile today, then I will judge my next mile from yesterday. I will run another mile tomorrow. I don't care anything about the man that can run 1,000 miles. The first qualification to be a champion is you got to know that it's in you to be a champion. You have to believe in yourself. You have to know that I can do anything. I have reached a point in my life that I believe that with God, I can do anything. And I can be the best at whatever I want to be. Although some people may do it better. I don't worry about them. I'm in competition with myself. You will never move if you stand still. Some of us stand still and complain, blame somebody else. It's all their fault. the reason I'm like this is because of somebody else. But I don't blame anybody, because as long as I'm alive, as long as I have a brain, I know that I can change my situation only when I'm ready to change it. And if I'm in a bad spot, if I'm not moving, it's because I'm not moving. We look at Moses. Moses had a lot of pride because he believed in God. Moses was in the same spot as the Israelites, standing there in front of the Red Sea. And he had no idea how to get across the Red Sea quick enough to keep the Egyptians from attacking him. And everybody started complaining. Why did you bring us here? We could have been living in Egypt instead of dying here. What did Moses say? He said, stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. He had no idea what God would do. But he knew that God would do something because Moses knew God. He was a champion. He knew who to depend on. And I guarantee you, when that water started opening up, Moses looked and said, whoa, look at this. I can't believe what I see. Because Moses was of championship material. He was not going to give up. He was going to move forward no matter how bad things looked behind him. If you want to be a champion, first thing you got to do is know that you can be a champion. Too many people fail. Too many people lose because they're not champions. They don't believe that they can achieve. You got to believe it. If you can't believe it, you'll never be a fighter. You'll never be a champion. When I went into those rings, I believed that I would win. I mean, I could not figure out how I could lose. I felt that I was the champ. Everybody knew me as a champ, and I was going to win because I was the champion. Like Ali said, I'm the greatest. I would go out there and fight all kinds of people. Fast people, slow people, people that hit hard, and people that couldn't hit at all. And I've got hit hard many times. That's why I don't box today. That's not the real reason. You can't be a boxer in the church at the same time. It makes no sense. But I learned a lot about being a champion. Another thing I learned, if you want to be a champion, you have to think about yourself and nobody else. A lot of us sit around looking at other people, and we look to see how they have achieved. All right? We look to see how brother so-and-so is doing. How is sister so-and-so doing? Why in the world did they vote brother so-and-so as Sabbath school leader? They know they should have voted me that. Brother so-and-so is no good. He can't handle this job. Why in the world did they send pastor so-and-so here? They should have sent some other pastor here. But a champion doesn't think like that. A champion doesn't look at everybody else. A champion's eyes are on himself. You won't hear a champion complaining. You will not hear a champion accusing other people. A champion thinks of himself, worries about himself. Do you want to be a champion tonight? Yes. Huh? Yes. Every champion here should have said yes. Yes. But maybe I'm not talking to champions. And if you all decided to be losers, it don't make no difference to me because the most important person is me. Amen. And that's not selfish. The most important person is me because the only person that I can cause change in is me. You can talk all day to a loser. You can talk to him, you can beg him, you can say you're crazy to lose, but they still lose because they lost in their minds. God gave us an amazing mind. We can be and achieve anything that we want to be. Can achieve anything that we want to achieve. But you got to be a champion. Another characteristic of a champion is looking at Jesus. Amen. You know, when you look at Jesus, you get all kinds of confidence. Did you know that? Amen. You believe all kinds of strange things. Like Peter believed he could walk on water. Now, Peter never walked on water before, but he looked at Jesus and he saw Jesus walking on water. He was the only one that climbed out the boat looking at Jesus walking on the water. And he didn't realize what was happening. He looked down and said, I'm walking on water. Look, fellas, I'm walking on. because it took his eyes off of Jesus. You see, Jesus gives us the confidence, and if our confidence is not great enough, then Jesus makes up the difference. So if you want to be a champion, another thing you must do is not look at everybody else, but look at Jesus. If you keep your eyes on Jesus, then you will be a champion, and you can win in the fights. Another characteristic of a champion is they never give up. A lot of people are giver-uppers, I call them. They decide they want to do something. They're excited about it. They can't wait to do it. They prepare for it, and they go and they begin doing this thing they want to do, and they meet one failure and give up. I want to be an engineer because they make a lot of money. I talked to a man who said this. And he went to school for a year for engineering. Then he found out that engineers weren't getting hired anymore. And he quit. He quit because he heard somebody say that engineers weren't being hired before, or getting hired anymore. Now, I look at it differently. I believe that if I would go to school to be an engineer, that I would be such a great engineer because I would give all of my soul, all of my mind to be an engineer, that they would be stupid not to hire me. No employer turns down quality people. Did you know that? Did you know that employers are looking for quality people? That they will do anything for a man who believes in himself, a man who will give himself and work hard as he can. Did you know that? Did you know that when you are good at what you do, you are great at what you do, then you can say what you want and folks won't fire you?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
If you're a salesman and you have top sales, you can call your boss and call him a scuzz head, call him a slime ball, and he might get mad, but he won't fire you because he knows firing you would be real stupid because you're pulling in so much money.
Oh, yes.
When you are powerful, because you became the best that you can be, people look for you. I don't care if they weren't hiring any more engineers. They would hire me because I am a champion. I become the best that I can be, and I know that I'm the best that I can be. If I get that way, then I am marketable. People look for you. I refuse to bow down to any employer ever again. Because I know within me is power, and that power comes from Jesus. I used to worry about getting fired, worry about somebody letting me go. You know, there are two ways to rise up in employment, you know that. One way is to be good at what you do. The other way is to be a little sissy and do everything the boss says. No matter what he says, you say yes, and he tells these stupid, corny jokes and you laugh at it. And you might rise, but you didn't rise because of your own potential. That means your employer is your master, and he tells you what you can and cannot do because he threatens your employment.
Yes.
But when he knows that you don't care nothing about him or his job, then they don't bother you. A guy one time told me, he said, Cooper, you know, you're not telling me about your family. Just had this employer who wanted everybody to be a big family, you know. If you're not telling me about your family. I said, what about that? He said, well, we're a big family here, and you should be telling everybody about your family and things you go through. I said, man, I'm not here to tell you about my family. I'm here to do this job. He said, well, you know, I have power to fire you. I said, oh, no, you think you have power to fire me. I said, all power given you comes from God. I said, you, this is funny to me. I said, you should be happy because God has blessed you to have me. She looked at me kind of funny. I said, it's okay if you don't want the blessing. God will give another man that blessing. He never fired me. Another qualification of a champion is confidence.
Yes.
That I know I can do it. And sometimes you need confidence even when your mind says you can't do it. Sometimes the situation says this is impossible, but you gotta have confidence anyway. You gotta go in there as though you cannot lose. I went into a place and I was desperate for a job these days, and I found out they were hiring at this steel plant or some kind of mill. And I went down in the place, it was on a Friday, and the man showed me around. I seen these guys in there just dying, man. I mean, just digging some kind of steel. They're sweating, and they all look unhappy. I said, oh, Lord, I want this job. So we sat down for the interview. The man says, Cooper? I said, yes. Can you do this work? I said, can you? He said, what do you mean if I can do it? I said, well, sir, if you can do it, I can do it. Oh, you trying to say you can do anything I can do? I said, yeah, and more. He said, He said, so you can go out there and work. I said, sir, I will be the best man you ever had. He said, I'm not telling you what y'all can do for me. I'm telling you what I can do for you. He said, you're hired. I said, when should I start? Tomorrow. I said, tomorrow's the Sabbath. He said, what's the Sabbath? I said, man, I'm a man of principle. I believe in the Sabbath. I believe God said work 6 days and rest the 7th day. And that's what I'm going to do. He said, but everybody works on the Sabbath. I said, everybody but me. I had all kind of confidence this day. He said, I can't give you the Sabbath off. He said, can't you just bend it a little bit and you can work just 4 hours on a Sabbath? I said, sir, are you telling me that you want me to compromise my principles? I said, are you asking for that kind of employee? One that will compromise his principles? I said, sir, if I compromise my Sabbath, that means I'm a compromising person. That means I will compromise everything. I'll be the guy, if I compromise, who'll be stealing out of the bathrooms and stealing your pens and stealing your shovels. He said, well, that makes sense. I said, I know it makes sense. I said, I don't compromise. I said, I will stick to this. I don't need your job. I said, my Sabbath is more important to me because this is the principle for which I am living. And I will not give up my Sabbath. He said, okay, you start Sunday. I said, I don't want the job. The whole time I was talking, I was thinking about them guys digging. I figured if I can get this job with this kind of confidence, I can go and get something I like, you know? Because I learned to be a champion. Champions don't have to settle for second best. A champion can have the best. Because you're a champion. A lot of people don't know these things. A lot of people will be afraid, worried about their bills, worried about their rent, worried about their lights, worried about their car notes. But champions don't worry about this. Instead of spending time worrying, go out there and do something about it. Because you can worry and worry and worry day after day, and your lights will still be turned off. The only difference is, while you're waiting for them to be turned off, you're miserable. You gotta have faith in God. You gotta have confidence, knowing that you are somebody, that you don't have to worry about what anybody else says. Confidence. That's another characteristic of a champion. The poem I want to share with you, a small part of a poem about letting go. And it's all right to desire to let go. It's all right to desire to want to give up. But when you're a champion, even though you want to give up, you don't give up. And I heard a poem one time, I don't know the whole thing by heart, but it says, I want to let go, but I won't let go. I'm sick, 'tis true. I'm weary and blue. I'm worn through and through, and I want to let go, but I won't let go. There are battles to fight by day and by night, for wrong and for right, and I want to let go, but I won't let go. Your mind may say let go. The situation may say let go, but if you're a champion, you won't let go. And if you hold on long enough, no matter how much the wind blows, one day the wind will die. You can achieve if you never give up. Champions don't give up. Now there are people who live. Oh, no, I don't want to say that yet. I don't want to say that yet. I'm trying to look at these notes, but y'all see them looking now. I was trying to be real, like I had this all in my mind. I thought I just do this in my mind, right? Another characteristic of being a champion is looking at today as your last day. A man asked me, what would you do if you found out that today was your last day on earth? That tomorrow for sure you would be dead. How would you spend your last day? Well, The group was there, and one said, well, on my last day, I would stop eating. I would get on my knees. I would read my Bible, and I would do everything in my power to make sure that I go to heaven. Everybody said, yeah, that's a good thing. Yeah, I thought that was a good thing. What would you do? The other guy says, well, if this was my last day, I would call my mother, let her know I love her, and call my parents and try to right all the wrongs that I did. They said, well, that's good, that's good. And they finally asked the guy who asked the question, what would you do? How would you live your last day? He said, just like I'm living today. I live my last day like I live every other day. I won't do nothing different because I live every day like it's my last day. And some folk don't think that this might be their last day. Some folk got this strange confidence that they're going to live tomorrow. Who said that? When did you get your letter that guaranteed life tomorrow? I sure didn't get one. I could die tomorrow. I could be on that airplane. The airplane may do something funny and I may go down. And y'all be crying, oh, Cooper, he was all right. He died in the airplane. I don't know if I'm going to live tomorrow. You don't know if you're going to live tomorrow. Don't you know that over 1 million, 2 million, 100 million, almost 200 million people die every day? Do you realize how many people are murdered? How many people die of old age? How many people die in accidents? Get the almanac one day and look at it. It's a massive number. And if all those people die every day, why do you think you're going to live till tomorrow? You may not have tomorrow. If you live this day as your last day, then you will live this day right. You will live this day with confidence. You will live this day following Jesus. Am I right? And if for some reason you get past today and you make it till tomorrow, then live tomorrow like your last day. Champions do this. Paul says he dies daily. That means he gets things ready for today. And when today is over and tomorrow comes, he gets things ready for tomorrow. Huh? That's what champions do. I'm out here in the boxing ring, and I'm Mr. Champion. I knocked out everybody. I knocked them out. I had a perfect knockout record. I was knocking them out. And one day I met this fella. A little short guy. Little short fella. Didn't have any muscles. I thought, this is easy. Why is he in the ring with me? This man must not have no sense. And I went there with my confidence. I was going to fight. Ding! I started moving. I said, what's going on? And I moved back. And I said, how many hands does this man have? I felt hands everywhere. I said, most folk have 2 hands. He must have 12 hands. Because I feel punches on my head, my chin, and my stomach all at the same time. So I'm trying to move out the way, trying to figure out, how can this man hit me? I'm swinging. And I can't find anything. And this man's moving, and every time I swing, he's punching me again. Ding! I said, praise God for the bell. I went back to the corner, I said, who's this man? Who is this? Why is he here? No, why am I here? Man. Now at that time I could have gave up. I knew the man was faster. I knew the man could hit hard because I felt each one clearly. It was totally identified on my face. My eye was closing up, my lip was sticking out, and I didn't see not one of the punches coming. To me, he was standing still, but they were coming from somewhere. Now, I could have gave up, but I was a champion. I decided that I was going to go out there even though it hurts, and I was going to fight to the end. And I took it, he was hitting me, I took it, and finally he got tired, and I hit him, and he gave up. You don't know how happy I was when he gave up. But I never let him know that I was hurt. I never let him know that his punches hurt me. And I found out another principle, that sometimes life hurts. Sometimes when you go for your dream, you get hurt. Sometimes you get hit. Sometimes you get knocked down. But the good thing about being knocked down on your back is you're looking up. And if you're looking up, you can get up. But never let the enemy know you're sweating. You heard the commercial, right? Never let them know you're sweating. Don't let them know you're hurting. Just go out there and fight anyhow. Sometimes it gets hard. Sometimes it hurts. Sometimes you cannot tell what's going to happen to you tomorrow. Sometimes things look so bad that it seems that tomorrow, the world's going to end for you. But if you're a champion, in spite of all those negatives, you keep on going because you're a champion. Another thing we must realize is that everybody gets on this race in different times. This race that Paul is talking about, this track race. You decide to get on the race, and the one thing you have to learn is that you don't have to be the fastest. All you got to do is be in the race. You don't have to worry about how fast somebody passes you, because on this race, folk will run faster than you. They will just keep on going. Just keep on striding. Keep on running, and don't stop. And while you're running, the Pharisees and the Sadducees, they get up on the race. But they're just temporary runners because they can't handle the strain because they're not champions, they're losers. People that talk about people and call people names and try to discredit people are not champions, they're losers. But sometimes they get on the race with you and you're running and they get next to you. You're running. Say, hey man, yeah, how you doing, Mr. Pharisee? Say, I'm doing fine. You know, you can't keep running this race. Don't you feel tired? I said, yeah. I feel tired. Why don't you quit? Get off the race. And that Pharisee comes, you say, I don't care what you say. I'm going to run because up there in front of me, there's a prize, and I'm going to get the prize. And you keep running, you see the Pharisee get a heart attack and faint and leave. That's right. People will try to discourage you. They will try to bring you down. But if you hold out for a little bit longer, you will find that those that attack you will find themselves in trouble. This is a proven fact. The Bible talks about it. Great writers talk about it. The fact is, if you keep on running, those who are losers will eventually lose. You can look like a champion. You can exercise like a champion. But if you're not a champion in your mind, you will lose. And those Pharisees and those Sadducees will one day get off the track. Then you got some folks who believe that if you are not in the same position on this track as I am, you don't belong on the track at all. You know, when I was at Oakwood, they had this fella who had already accomplished this great health thing. He would not drink milk. He would not eat sugar. I wasn't there yet. I loved milk and I loved sugar. When I had my cereal, I love sugar so much, when I made some oatmeal, I would put sugar in the oatmeal, 2 tons of butter in there, stir it up, and put a layer of sugar on top like icing. And I would eat the icing off, you know, and put some more on. When I went to Oakwood in my freshman year, this is how I was. I thought sugar was all right. Sure enough, tastes good. So I go in the cafeteria, and I get my bowl of cornflakes. And I got my box of milk and my ton of sugar. And I sit down, I cut some bananas up in there, put my milk in, took my sugar in. Wasn't sweet enough, put some more. Here comes Mr. Health. For some reason, 1,000 tables in the cafe comes to mind. Sits down in front of me. He got his cornflakes too. But he pours orange juice in his. And I'm eating like this guy. No, he crazy. He's eating his orange juice cornflakes. I'm eating my milk and sugar cornflakes. I'm loving it. He said, Sheldon? I said, yeah. You know that sugar killing me. I'm getting mad. It's killing me, huh? He said, yeah. Don't you notice that I have orange juice with my cornflakes? I said, now I understand orange juice. I understand cornflakes, but I don't understand them both together. I understand you eat maybe one now or something later, but not together. I said, I don't believe in all that right now. So I'm eating, don't mess with my food. This is tasting good. And by that time the cornflakes got soggy. I love it when it gets soggy. I don't know why. I love soggy, sugary cornflakes. So I'm eating my cornflakes and he's talking all about my food, talking how Jesus will not allow me into the kingdom unless I leave sugar alone, unless I leave milk alone. And suddenly my food started tasting bad and I began to grow hatred for this man. Wondering why here? There's a lot of people eating sugar. Why you go past everybody to my table? And for a long time I felt bad about it. I would go to the cafe and be hiding trying to eat something. Feeling guilty about eating this stuff. But I knew I wasn't where he was. He was where he was. I was where I was. Finally in my life, God told me, to leave the sugar alone. God told me to leave the milk alone. But his message at that time was for him. It wasn't for me. Sometimes we get on this track at different times. You might be ahead of me, but I don't have to be where you are as long as I'm on the track and running. As long as I'm not sitting on the sideline, as long as I'm running, I'm going to get to the part in the race that talks about the milk and the sugar. I'm going to get to the part in the race that talks about the meat. I'm going to get to the part of the race that talks about whatever else these fanatics talk about. And I call folks fanatics who try to force things down your throat. That's a fanatic, because it's right not to eat sugar. It's right not to drink cow's milk. I'm not a cow. I don't need cow's milk. Now either you're laughing because that's funny, or y'all think I look like a cow. I don't know. Y'all think, well, you do need cow's milk. You look like a cow. No, I'm kidding. But those things are true. Those things are right. There's nothing better than being healthy. And as I get older and older, God reveals more and more to me. I've learned some things since last year about health. I'm on my race. I keep on running. And the longer I run, the more I will know, the more God will share with me. But I take those things and I share them with you if you want to hear it, but I will not force them down your throat. A lot of these fanatics turn around and talk about everybody else and make them feel bad. And I remember one particular story. The man's name was Charlie. I was working at Oakwood College cafeteria. Charlie was a vulgar man. Now my job was to wash dishes. In Oakwood College, there's an awful lot of dishes. I mean, there's like millions of plates. And you know that if the plates came in, that same amount of spoons gonna come over this big conveyor belt, the same amount of cups. And people at Oakwood like to put peanut butter up, down in the cup. Because they evil. They evil the dish room men. You gotta dig in the cup to get the peanut butter out. So my job was to stand right in front of the dish machine. There was another man who's sitting here who would take the stuff off the conveyor belt. He would try to clean off things he couldn't get. I would take and throw it in the trash and the garbage, and I would put my dishes in this big dish machine. It would go through and wash, and another person on this other side would take them out and take them out into the cafeteria. Now there was another man named Charlie who was the pan guy. Nobody wanted to be the pan person because vegetarian food really sticks to pans. I mean, beef got a lot of grease in it, a lot of fat, and a lot of stuff that you shouldn't eat. But when you cook a meatloaf of beef, you can get it off pretty easy. But vegetarian food got glue in it, I think. I think that's why they call it gluten, you know? You got to get all kind of scrapers and spatulas, and you got to chisel to get this stuff out. Now Charlie, for some reason, loved washing pots. Of all the things, we love Charlie because Charlie loved washing pots. If Charlie was absent, then one of us had to wash the pots. And we was begging for Charlie to come to work. Now Charlie was a vulgar guy. Charlie would say all kinds of nasty things. And he was in school for the same reason I was for the ministry. And he would be in there and he would talk and he would cuss. He'd get mad and just cuss somebody out. We're like, what's wrong with this man? This guy, don't he know where he is? And my friend here said, you know, Charlie, man, he going to hell. You know that, don't you? He said, Charlie, don't nobody who cuss like that and talk like that, there's no way they're going to make it in heaven. Charlie going to hell. I said, well, how you know who going to hell? How you know you ain't going to hell, you know? And I'm always the kind of person that defends everybody. I give everybody a chance, and I believe that there must be reasons for what they do. And one day, Charlie, we were talking about children. And my friend was saying, you know, if his child did something, he would give him a whooping on his little buns, you know. And Charlie said, well, if my child would do that, I would bust him upside the head with a shovel. Charlie said that. I said, well, maybe Charlie is going to hell. I don't know. If he's going to just bust a child upside the head with a shovel. I said, Charlie, are you exaggerating? He said, exaggerating? I'll knock him all into here. No child disrespect me. Charlie just a mean fella. Mean. So I'm walking around wondering, maybe Charlie's going to hell. I said, I want to go to Charlie's house and talk to Charlie. So one day I decided to go to Charlie's place. I knocked on the door. Yeah, what do you want? I said, Charlie, how you doing, man? Fine. How you doing? Just he's always got this evilness. Come on in. I said, Charlie, I just wanted to, ask you a question. Yeah. Why would you hit your child side of the head with a shake? And why were you in working in the cafe cussing and doing all these things? What's wrong with you, man? I said, do you think that you're going to go to heaven like that? He said, I don't know where you're going to go, but I'm going to heaven. I said, well, a shovel in your head? He said, let me tell you a story. Charlie told me this story. He said, if you saw me years ago, just 5 years ago, you would see that God has been doing something with me. I said, well, what do you mean? He said, don't you know what kind of person I was? And Charlie walked with a limp. He wore Charlie. He wore thousands and thousands of buttons. Thousands of buttons with all kinds. You can stand here and read all day Charlie's buttons on this thing. And Charlie walked with a limp. And Charlie said, when years ago I was an alcoholic, I was a murderer, I was evil. He said, you see my limp, Cooper? I said, yeah. You know how I got this limp? I said, no, how you get that limp? He said, I lined some people up on the wall, and I had a shotgun, and I was going to blow them away. And when I pulled the trigger, the shotgun jammed, and they turned around, and they beat me, and that's why I have my limp today. He said, there was a time that I would do anything to kill. I was evil, I was mean. And if you compare me now to then, you would say, hallelujah, Jesus. Because all I do now is I may cuss a little bit. I may have a temper now and then. He said, but God is working on that too. He just hasn't gotten everything out of me yet. And I started feeling bad. I started feeling bad because I realized that Charlie was in the race. He just wasn't where I was. Nobody's where Jesus is in the race because he's at the finish line. We like to look at other people and decide who's going to heaven and who's going to hell. The only person you know who's going to heaven or hell is you. So a champion doesn't look behind him, doesn't look in front of him. A champion stays to himself and runs the race knowing that he has to win the prize. Talking about somebody else, deciding who's going to heaven and who's going to hell. I believe that a man with a cigarette in his mouth, struck dead with the cigarette in his mouth, can still go to heaven. Because God knows the direction that man is going. You see, man looks on the outward appearance, but God looks on the heart. That man could be struggling with that cigarette. He could be praying every day, Lord, please take the taste out of my mouth, just like some of you talk about pork to Jesus. Some of us still have habits that we know are wrong. Some of us do things that we know we shouldn't do. And only a few of us are trying to get rid of the habits that will condemn us. The moment you decide to get rid of the habit, at that moment, God wraps his blood around you and saves you. Justification, sanctification takes a long time. It takes a lifetime. Every day you're up another step. As long as I'm going up the steps, I'm all right. It's when I'm going the other way that I'm in trouble, or I'm standing still. But as long as I'm going up and up and up, you see, there comes a point that the cigarette no longer tastes good to me. I throw it away. There comes a point that the wine and the beer no longer tastes good to me. I throw it away. There comes a point that I don't run around with 1,000 different ladies. There comes a point I don't run around with 1,000 different men. There comes a point, and God throws that away. And finally, I look up, and there's the prize. Jesus, the prize. Many people may have gotten there before I did. But as long as I got there, I'm a winner. So a man who smokes a cigarette and he's trying with all his soul, praying hard, going through programs, and you see him smoking, who do you think you are? Who do I think I am to sit there and tell this man he ought not be smoking a cigarette? He already knows it. Some men, if they could put it down, they would put it down. You don't believe that? I'm going to tell you something. There's a habit that's more powerful than cigarettes, and that's eating sugar. If you want to see how hard it is to stop smoking, if you have not smoked in your life before, just try for 30 days not to eat anything sweet. You will see sugar in everything. Everything will look like sugar. Your body will crave for it, and you will find yourself eating the sugar. Did you realize that smoking a cigarette is bad for your health? And if you go to hell for smoking cigarettes and it's bad for your health, did you know you go to the same hell for eating sugar because that's bad for your health too? So we ought to be careful who we look at other than ourselves. We all get in the race at different times. One day, I don't know what Charlie's doing now, but I believe that Charlie has gone farther in the race. I believe that Charlie has run and he has put down some of the things that he used to do because he's in the race. Because Charlie was a champion. A champion. That's who wins. Champions. I share with you some qualifications of a champion. I share with you ways to be a champion. First thing is you want to be a champion. Look at yourself. Do not give up. Know that you can do it. Stay in the race. And do not judge anybody else. The only judge I have is Jesus. The only one who can judge me is Jesus. Let me say that. None of you know enough about me. Now, if you want to get the job as a judge, if you're looking for that job, this is the qualification that you need to judge me. First of all, you got to know me. You got to know me before I was born. If you want to be a judge, you got to know my father and know my mother and their parents. Because when God judges me, he takes into account all of those things. He knows what I got from Adam. He knows what I got from Eve. He knows what I got from my great-great-great-great-grandmother, my great-great-great-grandmother, my great-grandmother, my great-great-grandmother. He knows all those things I inherited. And when God judges me, he uses all those things in the judgment. Nobody here can do that. The next thing you must do to be a judge, my judge, is to know what's in my heart. And nobody knows what's in my heart. Sometimes I don't know what's in my heart. But I know a judge. A judge who knows all those things. Who knows what I'm thinking. He knows why I feel the way I feel. A judge who knows my fears. And the greatest qualification of this judge, my friends, is that this judge loves me. And only wants to see me succeed. That's the judge. So if your desire tonight is to be a champion, these qualifications can make you a champion. Hallelujah. Amen. Amen.